long ago, people lived by a great river. The Nile gave water and food each year. Small villages rose near its banks. The land was hot. The light was bright. Leaders grew from these villages. They led when floods came. They led when crops failed. Some leaders became chiefs with more power. One of these chiefs became a king. This king stood where many paths met. He linked small towns into a wider rule. He began to shape a new nation. His name is part of our deep past. We mark him as the second pharaoh. He came after the first great unifier. He held the land in a new way. He helped fold many lives into one story. Historians often call him Hor-Aha. Some lists use other names for him. The records are old and not all clear. Time has smoothed many hard facts. We learn from pots. We learn from labels. We learn from stones. We learn from carved marks. Each object is a small voice from the past. These voices help us see a life. He was not only war leader, he was a keeper of order. He was a keeper of rights. He stood between people and gods. He wore signs of rule for both lands. The second pharaoh built on earlier work. He kept peace where it was fragile. He made trade steady and farms more sure. He moved the first steps towards state rule. He wore two crowns to show his reach. One was red for the north, one was white for the south. Together they told of unity and rule. Priests stood with him in public rites. They brought offerings of bread and beer. They lit incense and spoke to the gods. The king kept maat, balance and order. People believed kings linked earth and sky. The king fed gods in small chapels. He gave gifts in places of worship. These acts kept both fields and people safe. His role was sacred and practical. He led rituals and ordered building work. He was seen as keeper of life's balance. His duties shaped how people lived. These duties tied the world together. Farms were close to the water's edge. People planted seed after the flood. They fished. They tended small herds. They used simple tools and strong hands. Women wove cloth. Women baked bread. Men plowed with cattle, dug canals. Children ran with toys made from clay. Dogs sat by doors and watched the dusk. Homes were built of mud bricks. People lived in close, noisy groups. They made pots and jewelry by hand. They traded goods along the river. Life was hard but shared and steady. Neighbors helped at harvest. Neighbors helped build. Feasts came with offerings to local gods. Small joys filled the long days. The second pharaoh named projects and men. He set places for builders and craftsmen. He ordered the making of early temples. He shaped work into steady skill. Scribes learned to write on pots and slabs. They tallied goods and wrote names. Ink and reed pens kept small records. These lists tell us how trade grew. Goods moved along the Nile and beyond. Grain paid for tools, oil, and cloth. They traded for gold, copper, and stone. This made life richer and more linked. Work became more organized with time. Families learned crafts that passed down. Temples became centers of wealth and aid. The state began to shape daily order. Art from this time feels simple and strong. Carved labels name the king and deeds. Small statues show clear, bold lines. Painted boxes show farming, a painted model boat and oars. Tombs held food, tools, toys. Models of servants, models of animals, inside. They cared for the dead with small goods. These acts showed belief in life beyond death. The king's tomb was plain, but full of meaning. Rooms, chapels held offerings, names. The dead were wrapped and laid with care. These tombs keep the old voice for us. From these objects we touch a quiet past. A pot, a bead, a carved eye can speak, and they bring simple scenes to our thought. They let us imagine hands that made them. The second pharaoh did small things with big reach. He held a land and set rules that lasted. He helped build a path toward the great works to come. His steps gave room for later kings to grow. He showed how leaders can bind many lives. He saw trade and craft as ties that matter. He trusted priests and scribes to keep the record. He cared for order, faith, and steady fields. We cannot know every detail with full surety, yet stones and pots let us feel a human hand. We hear oars on the Nile and bread baking near dusk. We see a king walk among his people and priests. Let this be a gentle ending to that long day. The Nile still runs and keeps its old song,